Hey, Brittany here, your everyday historian, and this video is, I think, probably a little bit different than my other ones. I'm going to be mostly sharing my screen with you, not so much like vlogging or doing face to camera, although I'm obviously doing a little bit of that now, but we're really going to be looking at what you do when you're researching your whole process of like picking your grad school, where you're going to go, right? It's a really big decision. How do you pick? So I'm walking you through the process, like I'm actually doing it with you instead of me saying like, this is how I would do it, or this is how I did do it. I am literally doing this, so you can do it with me. So come with me to actually research this whole process. You're going to see my spreadsheets, all of the nerdy stuff, and I hope this is really helpful. So let's do it. As I'm going through this Google Sheet, I'm seeing that this is very much niche and specialty specific. I'm talking specifically about a master's in history. And when I say a master's in history, really there are so many, as I'm finding, on early European history, especially the Viking Age. I have a special interest in that, but I am open to different things. I mean, I'm really passionate about American history too. Obviously, I'm American. I care about the fate of my country, the past of my country, all of that. So I am considering that, but I think that equally as important to what you study is where you go. So your lifestyle, your cost of living, all of that. So I did consider that. I'm going to share on the screen a couple of spreadsheets that I made to help me with this whole decision. And I'm going to make these available to you, forced copy versions, the template anyway. So you can take the same template and basically use it in your grad school research, whether you're getting a master's of history or otherwise, because you can use the same thing. I'm looking at a few different degrees that are related, right? You'll see already that if I was to do the degree at the University of the Highlands and the Islands, this would actually be a Master's of Lit. It's really unique from what I can tell. I haven't really seen that, but that totally makes sense because a lot of the source text that we're really using these days to look at what happened during that period is actually from text that was written down hundreds of years later. These massive sagas and poetic eddas that really outline what we know, basically share everything with us that we know about what happened in the Viking Age, because so much of what happened wasn't really written down from the perspective of the Vikings, right? It was written down by the monks who were raided at places like Lindisfarne and Iona. I hope I'm saying these things right. I'm just realizing now I've read so many of these places and I don't think I've ever said them out loud. Sometimes I hear them on podcasts and on videos and things, but sometimes I just learn it by reading and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. So I apologize if I mispronounce anything on here. So even though I say master's in history, it's not completely accurate because some of these aren't exactly masters in history. Anyway, saying all that just reminded me of another resource I made for you. My website, everydayhistorian.com. It's definitely in the process of being built out as of when I'm recording this, but as time goes on, I will add to it. It's really documenting my journey along with this YouTube channel of me going back to grad school or a master's in history as a married woman in my late 30s, because I know I can't be the only person in this situation who's thought about this decision. And we do have different things to consider. We're in the age of, should we start having kids? Should we have more kids if we already have kids? Are we living right now in a place where we plan on living? If I am going to go to grad school, assuming I can even afford it and it's a good move career-wise and all that, will I just go to grad school where I already live because my husband and I already have a life here? Like, I think, even though I know every single age range has their struggles, I think there is more to consider later on in life. And it's so funny because I remember when I was 25 and I felt like I was old, right? And then I turned 30 and I was like, oh, I'm old now. I'm not in my 20s. And then I was 35 and I'm like, oh no, I'm really getting there. Now I'm 37 and I don't really care anymore. Now I'm just like, whenever I go, it's just going to be when I'm older and older. So I might as well just do whatever it is I'm wanting to do now, because time is just going to pass on no matter what. So I made this post. It should be live by the time that you go and see it. And it's my step-by-step plan for applying to grad school. And I'm going to keep improving this and adding to it as I go. But I wanted to make sure you knew about this too. This is literally step-by-step what I am doing, what I've been doing. I'm going to put all of the tools and things that I use. A lot of the tools and software, by the way, that I use are free. So you don't even have to buy anything. There might be a couple of things I end up buying, maybe to save time, just because I do work full time. So if I can save time, I will. But so much of this is just like blood, sweat, and tears. Not even really sweat. I mean, like, how sweaty do you get typing, right? This is my plan, and I will be definitely tweaking this as I go. But right now I'm in this stage of getting clear and organized. And then also the research part of not only the schools, but the programs themselves. So that's the bulk of what I'm doing right now, is comparing programs, thinking about out which programs actually make the most sense for what I want to do. I'm really building out, by the way, several YouTube channels and programs right now. So Everyday Historian is me documenting this process. It's really for my peers. I also have the Nomads of the North podcast I'm building specifically about the Viking Age, focusing on that time period in history. And I really foresee that in the future, I would like to have several different podcasts and channels about history. I don't know, that could totally change. But there are other periods that really interest me. Like I'm interested in archaeology. I'm also really interested in US law, which I think if I were to go that route, which I probably will not with my other life goals, but if I were to go that route, it would make the most sense to focus on US history. So that's another thing I'm considering too, is not just what I would be getting a master's in, where I'd be going to school for that, but then specifically what would my focus be? Because you kind of need to know all of these things at the same time. And I'm sure you'll see this since you're researching and asking these questions on Google, on YouTube, on ChatGPT, that you need to have an advisor to walk you through what exactly you're going to choose for your coursework. So I'm answering many questions at the same time. If you do have more flexibility than me and you're interested in medieval times, I would definitely look at these other schools. Now, I'm primarily looking at Arizona. It just makes sense. I live in Tucson. If I could go to University of Arizona, that would be my ideal situation. It's a 20-minute drive from where I am. I could commute. I can actually be a part of the community. I can have real relationships here. This is a great school to be a part of if you're interested in research. There are so many connections abroad. I travel a lot anyway because I work in the tourism industry, but of course I'm in Arizona, so it wouldn't be too bad to go to Tempe, Arizona State University. It's like a 2-hour drive. If I could get my classes down to 2 or 3 days a week, then yeah, I could commute, or I could maybe stay overnight once a week or something in the Phoenix area. That's not so bad. Now, Northern Arizona University, that's actually where I went for my undergrad. I love Flagstaff. By the way, even if you never go to school there, Flagstaff is definitely a city worth visiting. It's very beautiful with the San Francisco peaks in the background. I basically call that area of Arizona Colorado Light, because if you love mountains and hiking, you're gonna love it. But it's a 5-hour, 6-hour drive from Tucson. Not really feasible to be commuting. I have a husband and a cat, and I'm homesteading and doing all this other stuff, so it would not make sense for me to be far. Now, these are dream schools that maybe part of me wants to say, the negative part of me wants to say in another life I would go to, but you never know what the future holds, and you never know what kinds of opportunities could come. And I didn't even add it on here, but Oxford also has this really interesting 1-year program in migration studies, which also really aligns well with why I'm interested in history. I think that the problems of migration and immigration are going to be even stronger as time goes on, both for the people who are wanting to immigrate and for the countries receiving them. I almost said want to receive them. Some countries don't even want to anymore, but it's a problem we still need to figure out nonetheless. I do believe that we have to have a way for people to immigrate to every single country, because 0% immigrants just doesn't make sense ever. Of course, I am not that country, so countries have the sovereignty to do whatever they want. But being here in the United States, a country of immigrants, we're going to have to figure this problem out. Anyway, that was my soapbox. These are the other countries that I'm looking at. If you're interested specifically in this time period, I would consider those programs, as well as the one at Oxford if you have that specific interest. But I believe Oxford also has some really interesting medieval programs for graduate degrees. Obviously, even just getting into a program like Oxford would be dreamy and incredibly expensive, so probably not feasible. I could definitely do this, possibly do these. These would not work as well, but I put them on here for a reason. One thing to know about the University of Iceland, I don't know how long this is going to be true, is that they don't charge tuition, and that is true for international students as well. So if I could just pack up tomorrow and I didn't mind commuting so many times a year, that would be crazy. I don't know, maybe someone will do it. I could go to University of Iceland and I could study their Viking Studies, Medieval Norse Studies program for about $800 a year. Yes, less than $1,000 a year. Now, if you've ever been to Iceland, then you know that it is very expensive to even visit the country. Living there is another matter entirely. I expect it to be completely out of range for most people, especially if you're not going to be working while you're going to school, and that probably wouldn't be feasible for you to work while going to grad school, especially while settling into another country. Especially if you're bringing your whole family with you. Now, if you're doing like a dual thing where living there basically while school is in session and then you're coming home, then that's different, but that's still going to be difficult. However, if cost is a primary concern and you want to have an adventure, I don't know why more people aren't talking about the really cool program happening at University of Iceland. I will definitely link all of these things down in the description so you can go check them out. They also have this really cool partnership with schools in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. So University of Oslo in Norway was one of them, where basically basically you get to do a study abroad from there. And I thought that was just so cool, which makes sense because different countries and different museums have different artifacts, and I guess you could call them primary sources, although most likely secondary sources, just because of how this period is detailed, where you can go and get this information. Now, the University of the Highlands and Islands is in Inverness, Scotland, which Inverness is another place you definitely need to visit. It is absolutely beautiful, moody. I mean, the Highlands of Scotland, you can't beat it. Can you imagine going to school there? How incredible would that be? Their library there, absolutely stunning. It is a very expensive school to go as someone international. I'll show you the other doc. It has the funding on it. I don't even have all of the schools on here, but this one just outlines the general living expenses and things it would be for me. Obviously, don't take this as financial advice, and your situation is going to be very different, but I'm using this document to track what do I expect all of the costs to be for me, and then also how am I funding them. I'm eventually going to add some kind of visual element to this spreadsheet so I can actually physically see as I get grants, scholarships, fellowships, maybe a graduate assistantship or something, I can actually see the number I owe or the amount that I would still need to figure out go down. So I'm really excited for that visual. But yeah, it's a good idea for you to look at because I mean, look at that. I mean, Oxford, of course, is expensive, but you would expect that. But then you look at the University of Highlands and Islands and you're like, wait a minute, I might actually spend, especially with cost of living, because I'm just doing a preliminary search, I might actually spend more there. Now, University of Iceland, like I said, tuition and fees, not nearly as much, but the living costs are so expensive. So it totally makes sense that the cheapest option, although it's still not cheap, would be to go to school here. Now, that's assuming I don't get any funding, right? But I don't really have living expenses. The only actual expenses I have are running my online business, paying for team members and stuff. And if I stop that, then that would be $30,000 a year, but then I would lose the income from that. So I gotta kind of weigh that stuff out. But I think those are the things that we need to think about. And nobody can even really tell you which school would be best, which advisor would be best to work with, which specialty you should do. This really is a whole journey in itself. But once you have an idea of what you would like to do just in general, what you're interested in, then I really do think it narrows it down which school, which program, which advisor, all that. And at the same time, you're also figuring out, okay, where and how does grad school play into that? Do you need to go to grad school? Does that require grad school? Yes or no? Okay. If it doesn't require grad school, do I still want to go? So it's, do I need to go? Yes or no? Do I want to go? Yes or no? If I do want to go, or if I need to go, then I need to pick a program and an advisor basically at the same time. And that will determine where I apply. So even if I have a school on this list that I'm interested in, or that would be good for me, that does not necessarily mean that I'm going to apply. And then from there, the funnel just keeps getting more and more narrow. Just because I apply to a school does not mean I get in, and just because I get into a school does not mean I'm going to go there. So I expect to repeat and refine this process a lot, and then based on all the schools I get into, then I'm going to have to choose my school, and then that's just step one, right? That's actually getting into and applying. But I wanted to show you what it looks like to research and compare. Yeah, this channel is new, and I'm recording this video when I don't have any subscribers yet, so I have no idea who will see this, when you see it, how much time has passed since I recorded it. But I want to let you know either way, I really hope that these videos encourage you, that they make you feel less alone, that you know that it's not too late for you, you're not too old, you can do this, especially if you've been to school before, you already know what to do, you just need to dust off some of those skills that you haven't used in a while maybe, and use them again, re-up them again. You're gonna be okay. And there are other people like you who are also thinking about going back to school in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever. It's not too late for us. As long as you're alive, as long as you're still breathing, there are opportunities for us. I really do believe that. I've seen that. And I also am still preaching it a little bit to myself, because even though I believe that and I know it in my heart of hearts, deep in my bones, sometimes I struggle to believe that for myself. Let me know in the comments if that's you. I will tell somebody else, oh, you go after it. You get that. Like, I believe in you. You've got it. And then I will look at my own hopes and goals and dreams and think, oh, but there's no way. And maybe that's why even subconsciously I didn't put Oxford on that list, because I was like, that would be amazing. I dream of fall leaves and walking through with a nice overcoat and my nice winter snug clothes and a coffee, holding it like this and just being like, ah, I made it. I did it. Going into one of those old libraries through those old doors. I dream of that. If that's you too, like, we've got this. We'll do this together. And this YouTube channel is me documenting that whole process. So I don't want to promise that I'm going to have all the answers. Honestly, I don't even know if I will in the future, but I will be sharing everything I learn and do and figure out along the way. And everything I share on the screen, I'm also going to have down in the description, including updated versions. If I make a spreadsheet and then I make it better later on, like, you will have access to that that down here. So make sure you check that. And I would love to hear from you. What are you looking to study? Are you looking to get a master's in history too? If so, what specialty do you want to do? Tell me your dream school, and then maybe tell me your safety school too. Where else would you go or apply to make yourself feel like, okay, even if I don't get into this one, I have these others. So let me know down below. Get to know each other. I'm also on Instagram. My profile here is private, but you're welcome to request to follow me. And if I see that you're not a spammer or a scammer, which I'm sure if you're watching this you're not, then I will approve you and then send you a DM to say hi. Otherwise, I hope you like this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.